So, I mean, as soon as you get comfortable with yourself, this is about quality, man, and just taking pride in yourself and having an ear. A lot of artists don't even know when they sound wrong or off. They like, yeah, that sounds the same as that hit that I have on the radio. And it's like, if you don't know when something's wrong, you're not gonna be one of the greats. Might be cool for a minute. Me personally, I'm just a man of self-expression. So as much as I like writing, I like entertaining people, and it's cleansing for me. And yeah, I think it's just all around, I just feel like I'm a creative individual. I like to give things to people.
In this short clip from an interview with Drake in 2010, the young superstar in waiting outlined a facet of the philosophy that's made him into an unrivaled, chart-topping phenom, not to mention hip-hop's reigning king of choruses. Step number 1, be your own worst critic. Cited by pundits and commentators as the man who took the previously entrenched boundaries between singing and rapping and commingled them within the mainstream space, Drake's hook-laden approach to songcraft has meant that while he may not receive his proper reverence as an MC, his capacity for hit-making is undeniable. But to be honest, the man who can now self-assuredly flex about having more slaps than the Beatles didn't acquire a status as one of the all-time Billboard mainstays by spitting complex 16s. He did so through his knack for anchoring his songs around innately catchy choruses. Seen as one of the core elements of commercial rap as we know it today, these immediately ear-grabbing refrains are something that Drake can deliver at what seems like the drop of a hat. But as his comments here would suggest, the reason that they've so regularly been translated into globe-spanning mega hits is because Drizzy is always looking to bring the potential of his hooks to the fore. As opposed to weighing it up and accepting a middling effort as a placeholder, the OVO leader will discard anything which to him simply doesn't reach his own unimpeachably high standards. And if his comments to MTV are anything to go by, it's due to the fact that he has the foresight to not see the song in a vacuum, but think about how that chorus, when properly rendered, could contribute to his legacy. Now, if you yourself are a rapper who wants to learn how to create a legacy and learn the hidden catchy song structures of rappers like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole in a song-by-song training of their work, click the first link in the video description to get our 4-hour Songwriting Masterclass as a free bonus on the page when you click it. However, when it comes to Drake, as he made clear to Elliott Wilson, another thing that keeps his hits feeling vital is that he is never looking to so much as invoke the spirit of the past when it comes to crafting a new hit.
When I say something, I mean it. I'm not just saying it to be like, this sounds cool, I'm gonna write this down. Of course I mean it. I understand that people need something new to love. That is just natural human desire, you know? It's like the same way people be like, man, you gotta get back on that So Far Gone shit. It's just like, what is that to you though? Do I have to get back to sounding like that? Or was that a time marker in your life when you were in college dating this girl and you got that mixtape and nobody knew about Drake and you want that moment back? I can't give you that moment anymore. I can keep giving you great music. We can keep growing. We can keep understanding each other, but it's tough for me to go back there, you know? It shouldn't be your tagline, like, I don't even write. Well, like, if it's not quality product, who cares? We can tell. Like, it's like, maybe if you took the time to write, your shit would be a little better. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny that Hov made that joke, because it's like, sometimes I feel like people almost pride themselves on that and kind of look at me funny when I pull out my phone and start writing. Like, you write? I mean, to each their own, and you got to do what works for you. It's a creative process, man. That's what it's about. It's an individual creative process. It shouldn't be about, there's no standard. So, I mean, as soon as you understand that and you get comfortable with yourself, like, I don't care. It's just about quality, man, and just taking pride in yourself.
A viewpoint that Drake revealed during a discussion about Hov and his mentor Lil Wayne's ability to spit off the dome at a moment's notice, Champagne Papi's comments speak to another tenet of his artistry that's made him into a hit factory, and that's simply knowing what works for him. Rather than attempting to emulate his heroes, Drake is a man that will studiously pore over his lyrics and hooks, optimizing them for the world long before they even see the light of day. By taking the time to make alterations and draw from a backlog of thoughts and vocal lines that he's compiled, Aubrey can find the perfect chorus for whatever pocket he's presented in the track. while at the same time remaining mindful of what it is that makes his songs tick above all else. During an interview with Q in Canada, Graham explained how he may have certain tendencies when it comes to writing hooks and melodies that he uses as a rule of thumb, but they aren't etched in stone. As for him, what truly matters is that whatever he's delivering has a deep resonance with an audience that'll allow them to foster personal bonds to his work.
You're not afraid of sweet melodies. Is that too sugary for you? I mean, is there a point where you go, where a lot of artists would go, I can't do that, that's just too sweet a melody?
I do shy away from major chords and major chord progressions. Those are the classic pop. Those aren't the melodies that hit you in your heart. For me, it's minor. 40 produces in minor, and I'll find the melodies to sort of slip around it. Is anything too sugary? It just has to have emotion behind it. Hold On, We're Going Home, at the end of the day, is a very, I mean, that is a major song, but there's emotion there. There's points where you feel something, and that's all that matters to me, as long as it penetrates.
Striving to intercept the feelings as opposed to operating on the cerebral level that traditionally minded rap artists would, Drizzy's choruses are designed to be bellowed back at him in stadiums around the world. Confident in straddling the line between singing and spitting bars whenever the moment calls for it, another aspect of Drake's personalized philosophy that should be taken into account by anyone who's looking to organically increase the commercial value of their work is that you should never shy away from making what you want to hear. As even if you initially receive flack for your melding of styles, there's a good chance that if you want to hear it, then someone else will feel that exact same gravitational pull towards it.
There's something to be said for, I understand sort of when people start saying that when it's just straight up ballads and it's music that I'm in love with. I mean, I'll be honest, there's times where I feel like I like R&B music better than I like rap music. It's just sometimes like I like listening to it, whether it be classic, whether it be new. It's just when I find myself having free time, I like melody. And it's so funny that people scrutinize me so much for melody, because then another rapper will go and drop their single and the whole single is melody driven, and that's okay. He's allowed to do that and I'm not allowed to do that. It's just like this crazy double standard that people have for me.
Although Drake doesn't allow the doubts or reservations of naysayers to infringe upon his creative process, his comments to Wilson do stand in contradiction to an important side note that has stood Drizzy in good stead during his career. Although he has an intrinsic feeling for what makes him tick as a musician and songwriter, Aubrey Graham is a man that understands how the invaluable input of others can be. Meaning that, ghostwriting accusations aside, Drake has always been willing to take the opinions of others in his tight-knit inner circle. From taking Rich Paul's advice about making Best I Ever Had the first single on So Far Gone as opposed to his own personal choice of Uptown, through to enlisting the likes of Magic Jordan and The Weeknd to help him craft some of his biggest pop hits, Drake isn't afraid to defer to the expertise or instincts of others when needed. While in the case of his relationship with his manager, Oliver L. Khatib, Drake uses his eclectic taste in order to provide himself with new vantage points from which to attack a hook or a melody.
He'll come into the studio and be just super excited and full of ideas, and we work very well together because he'll have like initial ideas that once developed, they become like something incredible. And not to say that they're not great ideas to begin with. I'm just saying we work well together as a team. He is a brain. He sparks a lot of ideas. And then we'll move forward from there. And he's so passionate about it. And it makes me passionate about it. And we have a great, like, it's one of the people that I've met in the course of this journey that really inspires me in the studio.
So, like him or loathe him, Drake has proven himself to be a sponge for music. By soaking up as much of it as he can and harnessing the wisdom of those around him, the Toronto native has proven himself to be better equipped to make hits than practically anyone in the game. But as far as he sees it, a lot of it comes down to knowing when you've got magic on your hands and refusing to overanalyze it into oblivion, which brings us to step number 3, don't overthink it.
God's Plan was a song that I recorded like on a whim in my condo and thought nothing of it. I only had the first verse and the hook. It leaked. People forced my hand because they were like, yo, that sounds hard. And we had to rush and turn around because I was worried that another artist was gonna get the version and just start laying like random verses on it. I never could have told you a week before that God's Plan was my single and it was gonna be the biggest song of my career. I never would have known that. My hand just got forced. A lot of this is organic. It's not that calculated. I think we all have a good ear, And there's a core 8 to 10 people that I really look to for opinion. Once those people, give me their nod of approval, then, I'm usually comfortable enough to say, well, okay, let's try it.
Over the course of his career, Drake has done it all. Capable of making all the players' anthems for all the real brothers, as he did on Keep the Family Close, while also delivering tracks which are tailor-made for female audiences to sing back to him, such as God's Plan and Nice for What. Drake can strike a chord with both his words and melodies like few others. But as far as he's concerned, there's an instinctual element to writing his biggest hits, which would suggest at times not overthinking it is the approach that can yield the greatest success. Adept at delivering music which is felt in the hearts of audiences on a global scale, some of Drake's most enduring hooks have come about through the most seemingly inconspicuous of circumstances. As seen with God's Plan, Drake heeded the warning signs that he had lightning in a bottle and struck as soon as he could. Deemed to be a motivational track that's on about 60% of the world's workout playlists, Champagne rolled with the punches and, realizing that time was of the essence, didn't have a window to ponder whether the song was the greatest representation of his artistry. He simply released it to the world and let it do its thing. What's more, it's not even the only time that he followed his intuition and a big, naturally occurring chorus all the way to acclaim.
A lot of my hit songs I've written in a very short period of time. Hold On, We're Going Home, I felt like we finished that in like 2 hours. And I'm not a guy that does 40 songs for a project and picks 13 of them. If I'm gonna go as far as to track over a beat, I usually have the utmost faith in it that it'll end up somewhere. I don't really dispose of too many songs. I have stuff that didn't make this album, definitely, but I don't have 20 or 30 of them. I have 4 or 5 records that just didn't make it because, again, I was trying to keep it concise, and whatever I end up doing with those, I'll do with them.
Never one to opt for the Migos approach of laying down as many tracks as he can conceivably come up with and just sifting through them, Drake is laser focused on crafting hits, and it's a lesson that anyone who's looking to produce music with an enduring appeal should aim to emulate. Much like Drake, those who seek to fuse moments of musical euphoria into their sound won't ever reach their potential if they're only aiming for trends. As when you consider that Hold On, We're Going Home came about in an unassuming fashion and has gone on to become a track for the ages, it reminds us all why we, like the boy, should always aim to hit upon something pure and honest. As if there's anything that will never ever go out of style, it's tracks that touch the inner depths of the soul. In approaching this album, I was like, man, it would be great if we had a record that was played at weddings in 10 years, or that people that are away from their families in the army could listen to. Drake said in an interview with MTV shortly before the release of Nothing Was the Same, something that just has timeless writing, timeless melody. Through Drizzy's record-setting example, the keys to writing legendary generation-defining tracks are not only laid bare, but shown to be remarkably simplistic and obtainable. An artist who holds fast to the sense of what makes his songs tick, Aubrey Graham's adaptable approach means that whether you have to scrap everything you've done in order to recalibrate, or if the song practically falls in your lap in a mere matter of hours, all that really matters is that it has the capacity to stir emotion in the listener. And if it does, then there's no telling how far you could take it in your career. Now, I want to see you in the comments. What do you think Drake's catchiest melody ever is? And of course, if you are an artist yourself, be sure to visit the video description for that 4-hour Songwriting Masterclass. I've been your host, Drew Marcy, the big homie Drew for How to Rap. I'm out.